have so many questions about what happened.
Mysterious surveillance footage seems to show the impossible.
His friends are seen leaving, but he is not seen on any of the cameras.
There's just all these unanswered questions.
What has happened to Brian Shaffer?
It was a chilly Friday night in Columbus, Ohio, when 27-year-old Brian Shaffer's world was about to turn upside down in the most unexpected way. Brian was a driven and promising second-year medical student at Ohio State University with a loving girlfriend and bright future ahead. But on March 31, 2006, fate had other plans. Brian headed out that evening with his friend William Clint Florence, eager to relax and celebrate the start of spring break. The two friends bar-hopped their way to the Ugly Tuna Saloona in Columbus' lively University District. Meeting up with another friend, they rode the escalator up to the Ugly Tuna's second-story entrance around 1:15 a.m., laughing and ready to keep the good times going. Hello guys, and welcome back to Crimeco, where we break down some of the most chilling true crime cases from every corner of the globe, providing you with the most recent and in-depth information. If this sparks your interest, we would be delighted if you could subscribe to the channel. Also, giving this video a like significantly supports the channel's growth. We appreciate your help. Now, grab a blanket to hide behind, and let's dive into today's interesting case. What happened next has puzzled investigators ever since. Security footage captured Brian casually chatting with two young women outside the bar before 2 a.m. He waved goodbye and strolled out of frame, evidently heading back toward the Ugly Tuna entrance. But those seemingly harmless moments were the last known sighting of Brian Shaffer. Somewhere inside the bar, he vanished without a trace. Brian's phone went straight to voicemail when Florence and Ree tried to find him. Calls from his worried father and devoted girlfriend Alexis over the weekend yielded the same result: silence. When Monday came and Brian missed his flight for a long-awaited Miami vacation with Alexis, the worst was feared. He was never seen again. How could this be? How could a man just disappear from a crowded bar with no other exit? The exhaustive investigation pursued every angle, reviewed security tapes frame by frame, but reached a dead end. Brian Randall Shaffer was born on February 25, 1979 in Pickerington, Ohio, to Randy and Renee Shaffer. He grew up with his younger brother Derek in the Columbus suburb, where he attended Pickerington High School. By all accounts, Brian's childhood was stable and privileged. He excelled academically and was involved in a variety of extracurriculars, including the tennis team. Brian graduated high school in 1997 and headed to Ohio State University for college, ready to take on new challenges. At Ohio State, Brian pursued his passion for science, majoring in microbiology with a minor in molecular genetics. He graduated in 2003 after 6 years of study. During this time, Brian worked part-time jobs to earn money and also volunteered at hospitals, gaining valuable experience in the medical field. After earning his bachelor's degree, Brian took a year off to work as a radiology technician assistant at Ohio State University Hospital. But soon his ambition led him back to academia. In 2004, Brian enrolled in medical school at OSU's College of Medicine, fulfilling his dream of becoming a doctor. Brian dove into his medical studies with enthusiasm. He was intelligent, hardworking, and dedicated to his pursuit of an MD at the same time. Brian nurtured outside interests too. He was a keen fan of Pearl Jam, even getting their Alive album logo tattooed on his upper right arm. Brian also harbored dreams of starting his own Jimmy Buffett-style band one day, drawn to the relaxed, tropical lifestyle. During his second year of medical school in 2006, Brian began dating a fellow student named Alexis Wagoner. The two instantly bonded over their shared career path and ambitions. Both their families believed an engagement was imminent. Tragically, Brian's mother, Renee, was diagnosed with myelodysplastic syndrome, a rare blood cancer, in 2005. She battled the disease for a year before ultimately passing away on March 6, 2006, at age 51. Brian was heartbroken over losing his mother and close confidant. Renee's final gift to her son was a spring break trip to Miami she had financed for Brian and Alexis. Brian was excited to relax on a tropical vacation with the woman he loved. He dreamed of relaxing on the beach with Alexis under swaying palms, far from the stress of medical exams and the grief over his mother's death. Brian was known for his spontaneous wit, easygoing nature, and magnetic personality. Friends and family thought of him as generous, charismatic, and driven to succeed, with a promising career ahead of him. But Brian also wrestled with the pressures of medical school. Some sensed he felt torn between conforming to expectations and pursuing his passions. At 27 years old in 2006, Brian stood at an exciting precipice, a gifted medical student ready to embrace life and love. But fate would deal him a terrible blow, plunging his bright future into darkness. Just when happiness was within reach, Brian vanished without a trace. His disappearance left loved ones with endless heartache, questions, and a hope that still flickers, waiting for answers. The weekend of March 31, 2006, began like any other for Brian Shaffer. He met up with his friend William Clint Florence on Friday evening to blow off some steam after completing final exams. They headed to the Ugly Tuna Saloon in Columbus' lively University District, a favorite watering hole among Ohio State students. Around 10 p.m., Brian called his girlfriend Alexis Wagoner, who was visiting family in Toledo. He professed his love for her and confirmed their upcoming Miami vacation. Alexis told Brian to enjoy his night out, but added, "Don't do anything stupid." Those would be the last recorded words she spoke to him. Brian and Clint bar-hopped down High Street before meeting up with Clint's friend Meredith Reed around midnight. The trio returned to the Ugly Tuna and rode the escalator up to the second-floor entrance, captured by security cameras at 1:15 a.m. Witnesses would later confirm the bar was packed that Friday night with 80 to 90 patrons. Brian, Clint, and Meredith grabbed drinks and mingled for a while. Before 2 a.m., Brian wandered off alone outside. Security footage showed him casually chatting with two young women before walking out of frame, presumably heading back toward the Ugly Tuna entrance. And then, Brian Shaffer was never seen again. When Clint and Meredith couldn't find him, they assumed he had gone home early. But calls from Alexis and Brian's father, Randy, went straight to voicemail that entire weekend. When Brian didn't show up for his Monday morning flight to Miami and missed classes, the worst was feared. The investigation into Brian Shaffer's bizarre vanishing act inside the Ugly Tuna Saloon intensified in the days and weeks after he went missing in April 2006. The Columbus Police Department pursued every angle to try and uncover what happened to the 27-year-old medical student that Friday night. Detectives began by thoroughly interviewing the two people last seen with Brian, his friend William, Clint Florence, and Clint's friend Meredith Reed. They hoped to find inconsistencies or clues in their stories. Both passed polygraph tests about the night's events. However, Clint soon stopped cooperating with authorities and refused further interview requests. Alexis Wagoner, Brian's distraught girlfriend, was questioned multiple times about his state of mind before disappearing. She informed police Brian had unexpectedly asked her to run away with him that week, hinting he was under emotional distress. But Alexis dismissed it as a joke. She emphatically denied Brian would have left voluntarily.
I just remember I was very brokenhearted and just very scared and didn't really know what to think. But I think the main question always came down to, is he dead or did he run away? Those are the two main, did something happen and he just either ended up somewhere nobody could find him or somebody got rid of him. And that always made them think it was somebody that, that could have known him, or, it wasn't just a random thing, or did he just take off?
Brian's family was investigated thoroughly as well. Some speculated his recent inheritance after his mother's death may have caused conflict with his father, Randy. But no evidence was found to support Randy was involved, and he fully cooperated with the investigation. Police then turned to dissecting footage from the bar's security cameras. They noticed a suspicious jump cut just after Brian walks out of frame, indicating tampering. However, the cameras still didn't reveal how Brian could have exited the bar. All possibilities were examined frame by frame to no use. Witness testimony from the dozens of bar patrons proved inconclusive. Many were also intoxicated that night and gave conflicting reports. Police determined the last verified sighting of Brian was around 1:55 a.m. chatting with two women near the bar entrance. Cadaver dogs searched extensively for Brian's scent around the area and tracked it to a nearby Wendy's parking lot. But the trail went cold after that point. With no signs of struggle or robbery inside the Ugly Tuna, police began to wonder if Brian intentionally disappeared. In the following months, detectives tracked down leads across the country. Possible Brian sightings trickled in from Michigan to Texas to Sweden, but none produced concrete evidence. They monitored Brian's financials closely, but no activity was ever recorded after his disappearance. His cell phone likewise went cold after that night.
We had tips that come in that Brian was in numerous states throughout the country, Sweden, Jamaica.
Not one single tip has panned out.
As speculation mounted, the media took interest in Brian's baffling case.
National attention this weekend.
TV shows like Disappeared featured in-depth investigations, but the added publicity failed to crack the case. As leads dried up, detectives began to lose hope of ever finding answers. The Shaffer family hired private investigator Don Corbett to pursue clues the police would not. He accused authorities of being uncooperative by denying him access to case records and evidence. After years with no breaks, Corbett began to suspect the police had given up. As days turned to weeks turned to months without any breaks, hope dimmed that Brian would be found alive. Yet his loved ones persisted, refusing to give up. His girlfriend Alexis called his cell phone every night. His father Randy spent weekends dragging the rivers of Columbus, hoping to find his son. But the trail had long gone cold.
I think it was close to a year before I stopped calling the phone. I think about a year after that was when I finally said, okay, I gotta stop. And so I, would occasionally, but really stopped, calling the phone.
15 long years later, the events leading to Brian Shaffer's unfathomable disappearance inside the Ugly Tuna remain shrouded in mystery. In the 15 years since Brian Shaffer's baffling vanishing from an Ohio bar, endless theories have circulated trying to explain what happened to him. With no clues or leads, speculation has run rampant in the absence of hard facts. One early theory was that Brian met with foul play somewhere inside the Ugly Tuna Saloona. Perhaps he accidentally encountered a booster's deal gone wrong or got into a fatal altercation. But an extensive search of the bar uncovered no signs of struggle or evidence to support this. Some speculated Brian was a victim of the supposed smiley face serial ender, an alleged network of enders targeting young college-aged men. Supporters argue Brian fits the victim profile and lived near other cases attributed to the gangs. However, most experts reject the smiley face theory as an unsubstantiated myth. Attention shifted to Brian's friend William Clint Florence, the last person seen with him. Police theorized Clint was hiding crucial information but could never prove his involvement. Clint passed a polygraph exam, but later refused to cooperate further with the investigation. Brian's family remains suspicious of Clint to this day. For both police and family, the most frustrating theory is that Brian chose to intentionally disappear and start a new life. Supporters point to his recently mentioning a desire to get away from it all as circumstantial evidence. They speculate he fled in secret to avoid student debt or family issues over his mother's estate. But loved ones adamantly deny Brian had reason to vanish voluntarily. An especially tempting lead came in 2008 when an unknown person posted on Randy Shaffer's online obituary, claiming to be Brian living in the Virgin Islands. However, it was eventually traced back to a public computer in Ohio. Still, the notion that Brian escaped to a tropical paradise has persisted.
Checked out, the entire building from top to bottom to try to figure out if he could have went, in a different direction.
Other rumors suggest Brian changed his appearance and slipped out of the bar undetected that night. He could have altered his clothes or hairstyle and walked right past security cameras. But police exhaustively studied the footage and dismissed this possibility. Wilder theories have proposed Brian was secretly struggling with boosters or mental illness. Supporters argue he impulsively left to take boosters or commit the unwanted outside the bar's premises, but zero evidence indicated Brian had such issues. With no evidence found inside the ugly tuna, many simply believe Brian safely exited but met with misfortune afterwards. He may have succumbed to the elements if intoxicated, or an opportunistic criminal attacked and disposed of his body. But it's all a hypothesis with nothing to substantiate these guesses. In truth, no theory can adequately explain why a young man at the peak of life could disappear from a crowded bar, never to be heard from again. With the trail long cold, Brian Shaffer's baffling fate remained shrouded in mystery and conjecture. Those desperate for answers are left clinging to their own beliefs in the absence of proof. Where did the boy with the whole bright future ahead go? How could he evaporate into thin air from a crowded bar and leave no trace? Was he the victim of sinister forces, or did he orchestrate his own disappearance? The lack of answers only compounds the heartache for those left behind. In the years since Brian disappeared, social media has allowed ordinary citizens to crowdsource theories, compare notes, and keep his story alive. The enthralling case continues to captivate countless amateur sleuths around the world. While the authorities seem to have surrendered, these online communities refuse to give up. The disappearance of Brian Shaffer stands as a chilling reminder of the ease with which a human being can vanish. How any one of us could so quickly become a name, a faded photograph in a newspaper clipping or on a missing poster, gone without reason or a trace. Brian's story represents a profound and lingering sadness, the loss not just of a man, but of the bright future beaming ahead of him, the brilliant doctor and loving husband and father he was meant to become. That hopeful life now exists solely in memories and dreams denied by tragedy, a promising flame senselessly extinguished, leaving endless darkness and unanswered questions in its wake. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay up to date with the latest true crime cases. We appreciate having you as part of our community as we explore the mysteries that continue to fascinate us all. Stay curious and remember, justice may stay hidden in the darkest corner. Thanks for watching, and see you on the next one.